Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stoked, the ultimate Star Trek online podcast. My name is Chris.
My name is Jeremy.
Hey there, J-Man.
Hi.
We have got an Earth space dock-sized episode for the peeps today. I mean, there is a ton of stuff.
We fly our ships around inside it?
Oh, we are going to. You're going to fly all over this episode. Coming up in the middle of the episode, we've got an interview with StormShade, Cryptic's online community representative, who I'm sure you're familiar with in the Stowe forums.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the episode, after our interview with Stormy, we have got a review of the new weekly episode, The Vault. That should be fun to talk about. And then, before all of that, in the news segment right now, we're going to tell you about a few wrongs that have been righted.
These are things that have been going on for a very long time, and I think everybody's really glad to see some of these, just as you said, wrongs being righted. First off, let's just start with the one that I think most people are happy to hear about, is the one that impacts our wallets. All of the C-Store ships, with one exception, are now going to be available via in-game currency of some sort.
So all ships with the exception of the Galaxy X, right, means either with marks. Like, for example, if you're level 41, you can now get the Excelsior for 200 marks.
Yep. The Garumba, which was a big sticking point. The only way to buy that was on the C-Store.
That was just like a month ago we covered that.
Right.
Yeah, that was covered.
But now it's going to be available. Now, to be fair, they're expensive in-game. But just having that alternative available so that if people don't want to spend their money, they can just farm for these currencies.
Somebody was kind of kicking around the math in the forum, and they were like, so it would take me about 10 days of trying to get this particular type of mark to get that particular... Yeah, I can see that, but...
It's pricey.
It's fair, though, because it's a nice ship.
Yeah.
I'm flying around the Excelsior right now. I like it.
Yeah.
And I got me the Transwarp, which came in handy.
Yep.
Another
little tidbit from that story, though, is also he released that if you buy the Dakir that's coming up, the Vulcan science vessel, you also get with that a free token for an exclusive shuttle. That you can only get that shuttle, which looks just like the support craft, if you buy that Dakir. So kind of like two ships in one.
That new Dakir ship's pretty neat. If you haven't seen it yet, last episode, Stoked 68, we did a live gameplay event of the Foundry missions, and we flew those around in those new Dakir Vulcan space science ships. They're neat because you do get to deploy that shuttle.
Yeah.
That is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, another wrong that's being righted is the cryo bombs. Cryo bombs, yeah. I know it's for cryogenics and things like that. It's just hard for the tongue, but this is one of those that is a frame rate killer.
Yeah. Oh my God. So bad. Now the reason that it finally
you particularly hated on it a lot.
And
I agree it's obnoxious. To me, it just goes in the obnoxious category.
Well, the reason that this is becoming such a bigger issue and finally going to get some attention is, they recently raised the cap on social areas up to 75 people in a zone. And for things like the 1-year anniversary celebration, which I think we'll talk about a little bit in just a bit, if you had all 75 people in one place and hit them all with a cryo bomb, half of the people get disconnected, their servers crash because the frame rate and the graphics
client just doesn't like it, huh?
Client could just not handle it. So finally, we got some news from the guy that actually created the item, a dev by the name of Chattington, says it's going to do something different and less griefy.
I like the less griefy
So they're going to
comment.
change it. It's going to be revamped in the very near future.
I don't know if I'm going to call these ones a wrong, but it's definitely something I think probably all players want to see fixed. And this is just early hint stuff. We don't know for sure, but the scales of some of the ships might be adjusting.
Yeah, specifically the Defiant. That seems to be the one that we've gotten the most shots of.
Some adjustments maybe with shuttle sizes too, right?
Possibly slightly shrunken. I know they're already tiny, but they really need to be just a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to see that, and the Defiant model actually looks like it's being significantly enlarged.
And now it fits a little better in that docking port at Deep Space Nine, for example.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you go in there and be like, this doesn't look how it looked on the TV show at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Now, that might raise some issues with having other ships then would look too small compared to the Defiant, so it's even possible that they might keep taking this.
And at this point, it's just a Foundry skin. It could just stay
Absolutely.
a Foundry
It's
skin.
actually only a costume that you can apply to another ship in the Foundry. It's not even its own model yet. So we don't even know, and we haven't gotten any dev confirmation. The fact that the art assets are there, though, seems to indicate there may be some movement in that direction.
It literally, though, it could just be they want players to be able to create ships docked at Deep Space Nine for Foundry missions. They don't want it to look weird.
That could be right,
It could be nothing more than that, but at least it's that. So it's something to watch, and then I'm sure though once the artwork is created, you'd think you could move that into a playable model at some
Absolutely.
point.
And you know what? Speaking of artwork, one of the next stories we've got, that's pretty much all the wrongs that have been righted. But I wanted to bring up this...
It's been a long time since we've covered a rumor. Back in the days of closed beta, we'd have leaks on the show. And that was really exciting. People would send in their tips. And
so this is probably the first time in a long time we've gotten an anonymous tipster.
Yeah. This is fun.
So somebody went into the Stowe files. I don't necessarily condone this because it's kind of hacking the client, but we were sent some art assets for icons in the game that haven't been used up until this point, including a bamboo cannon,
Mm-hmm.
How fun would that be?
I would like that.
Especially if it did extra damage to Gorn.
Oh, yeah.
There was one that looks like it's either the Mega Beam that the Undine used with, several ships. The Planet Killer thing?
Yeah, where they all converge together.
Mm-hmm. Or it could also be possibly an indicator of the Tholian web type effect. It's hard to tell from the icon alone. But there's also a whole bunch of like Borg arm weapons.
Yeah.
I would love to see those available for equipping on Borg reclaimed captains or Borg boffs.
Absolutely.
Those would be so cool to have.
We also saw the crafting icon for the new Delta Flyer. Nothing too surprising there, but neat to actually see the parts.
It was like a schematic icon.
Schematics, yeah. So that's kind of neat too.
Yeah, and probably one that a lot of people I know will be excited about. We have an icon in the game now for the Nausicaan Lance, that ground weapon with the big energy
a much requested gun.
Sword on the front.
Yeah. People are gonna have fun with some of these things, and who knows when we see them. But
right.
I guess along the lines of fun, one of the things that came out in the last week since we've recorded an episode, it was the 1 year event.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
I was really surprised actually by it because I didn't feel this might come off sounding a little jerky, but I didn't feel like Sto was in the situation where they could plan to put out content that would be used for such a short term. And so to create a specific event with all these dialogues and prizes and events and all that kind of stuff that's only going to be around for a week seems like something that I didn't think Cryptic was going to do. I was actually pleasantly surprised to see it, and I have no objection to them doing this kind of thing.
Oh, I see where you're going. It's not that you thought it was a waste of time.
It's a bang for your buck sort of
issue. You just didn't expect it.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like a lot of work.
Exactly.
Well, that's a weird thing. I think that was a major rollout that I think back in the day we would have probably seen a lot of grief from.
Yeah.
And that's a big QA process they went through. I think you're seeing...
Especially because it was all kept under wraps. It was all internal QA.
Yeah.
They didn't have any player testers.
It got up on Tribble a couple of times on accident.
Leaked.
Once or so. But I think it shows a refinement of the tools and the process because it's a pretty big launch that wasn't widely tested, that went off pretty successfully. There was a couple of quirks here and there, but like the Q minigame was fun. I had a really good time getting transformed into different animals.
Right.
And I got the accolade for getting polymorphed 5 times.
Right.
And I thought that was neat.
And even if you got all the trivia questions correct, you still felt good about it because
it was fun answering the trivia questions,
Right.
and it was cool to get to see everybody else get transformed. And I loved running around STOked as a different type of animal and seeing other people run around. Yeah, tuk-tuk. Yeah. And I went over to the Klingon side and I talked to Q there. And of course, when I got a chance to go do the mission, that little mission, the daily he gives you.
Go pick up your presents.
Over on STOked, you go play in the fountain, and that's kind of neat.
One time I ran by and there were literally 50 people in the fountain all...
You know what's funny about that? The first time I beamed on there, I was ready, dude. At 11 a.m. or whatever it was when they turned that on, I was out here with recorders going on the live stream and we were doing it, and I ran by the fountain and I thought, look at those jerks. They put this new stuff in here, and the first thing I do is just all go screw off in the fountain. And I'm running by, I'm like, just got a bunch of kids, I didn't have any idea. And then I was like, oh, okay. But over on the Klingon side, you actually go harass a pile of tribbles, which, of course the Klingons are going to hate that. But that was cool to see it on both sides. Plus, the Klingons, they kind of had the babes.
Yeah, they did.
They had the babes going.
Meanwhile, as the feds over at STOked got the dancing girls that were the big tubby demons.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. The other, I think, the 1 year event for the most part was just a lot of fun, and I saw a lot of folks online in the game. I don't think I've really seen that many people online in a very long time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Except with exception.
It was also fun when some of the devs stopped by. Oh man, the devs were wearing costumes that made them look like Caitians in Speedos. Oh, man.
I have no comment on that. I'm going to save myself from getting in any trouble.
Now, there's a couple also links to videos in our show notes. There's one that Cryptic put out that was kind of a celebration of all the features that they've done in the last year. And actually, when you put them all back to back like that, they sound pretty darn impressive.
Actually, they do. They do seem pretty impressive when you stack them all up. And also, I noticed a ton of folks have been posting video clips of the 1 year event over on WeGame, wegame.com. So that's always a place to check out.
And there's a really nice tribute video that was put together by Rachel Garrett, who's been mentioned on the show a few times before, and you can find the link to that in our show notes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think that's everything we have in the news segment for this episode. Let's go over and talk to StormShade. say on the line we have got StormShade, or maybe we should go by his real name.
Shaun Brodie.
Yeah.
Well, he says everybody calls him StormShade.
I'm going to go with StormShade. You know him from the forums. He's the online community representative for Cryptic Studios.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Stormy.
Thanks. Great to be here, guys.
All right. We're excited, and we're going to get into all of the Sto-related stuff. I promise we've got a ton of Star Trek Online-related questions, of course. But we thought, we're going to start talking to more developers, hopefully, and more people involved at Cryptic in the community side like yourself, and maybe even down the road some art folks. And
or Q&A or whatnot. Yeah.
And we wanted to spend a moment to get to know each person that we bring on the show. So we want to spend just a second getting to know you.
Cool. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Well, I just wanted to know how you really got started in the industry. Have you always been in a community representative side?
Actually, I started off with Cryptic before Champions launched as a game master for Champions during the closed beta phases.
So that's like customer service, basically, right?
Exactly. It was a whole lot of customer service.
How many years ago was that?
Well, Champions launched about 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Community has changed a lot even in those 2 years.
Communities definitely changed an awful lot. Their Twitter and Facebook and all that was still around back then.
Yeah.
But it's becoming more and more prevalent as time goes on. So
now, what exactly do you do? We've got many people that have been asking, what does a community representative actually do on a daily basis? So can you give us kind of a quick rundown of that?
Yeah, some people think it means just hang out in the forum all day.
Yeah. Troll us.
Well, that's definitely a big part of what I do.
Oh, sweet. I already do that for free.
I know, huh? And I get paid for it. I'm the go-between guy between the community of Star Trek Online or Champions Online and the developers. So my job is really to represent you guys in the offices. So when you guys are not happy about something, it's my job to run into Dan Stahl's office and say, they're not happy and they think you're evil. Fix it.
Yeah.
It's gotten much, much better.
That's true.
I was going to say, it does seem to have gotten a lot better.
Hats off to you. I'm sure that you and the whole rest of the community team have done a lot to ease the suffering.
Now, Stormy, can I ask you a question before we get into the Sto stuff? Just general gaming. What was your first big gaming obsession where you realized, I think I might be a gamer. I might be more than your average gamer. I like video games.
Oh, God.
I know, it's a tough one.
So when I was old enough to first grip the joystick of the Atari 2600, my father put one into my hands. And I have been playing video games ever since then. I've done MUDs like Gemstone 3, if you want to go way back into the days of Genie and CompuServe. I've played EverQuest. I've played tons and tons and tons of role-playing games, shooters, the whole nine yards. I just love gaming.
Now, you mentioned EverQuest. Would you probably consider that your first MMO obsession?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know we spoke to Gozer quite some time ago, and he did mention that was his motivation to get into the game industry as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Geez, and I give EverQuest a hard time all the time.
Yeah.
Now, while we're still talking about things like the community, I've got to ask you, Stormy, because I've probably wondered almost every time I see you post, what's the story behind your avatar?
The story behind my avatar. So
is there a specific story behind the teacup?
There is. There used to be, and still is to an extent, a group of people on the forums that role play in the Kingdom of Teacup Land. And back then, this was headed up by... It's hysterical. It's meant to be hysterical. So the Kingdom of Teacup Land was headed up by one of our users, Treebort5050. And I got bored one day and made myself this glowing teacup avatar.
Glows.
And I told them that I stole the teacup.
Oh.
And so
The
they
glowing
decided
teacup.
to barter to get the teacup back, and they created the teacup avatar that you see now.
That's pretty resourceful. Now, I have to ask you, because you've been at Cryptic for a long time now, and so you've seen this, from the beginning. And I was just wondering, during all of this process, has there been, like during the development or even after release, has there been some sort of milestone, like specifically early on when you knew, wow, this is really going to happen? This is real.
I think for me, it actually happened when I actually got control of the Star Trek community. I shouldn't say control, because you don't really control the community.
It's like herding cats.
So when I took over responsibilities as the community representative for Star Trek, it became very, very real for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And does it seem like we sometimes poke fun at the forums because there's sometimes some misbehavior going on, or people are just a little outspoken.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. People misbehave on my forum?
They're passionate.
Not on my watch.
I understand the passion, but there's the flip side too. There's like the people that go, just amazingly into detail with even sometimes schematics or
well, like the Thomas the Cat post is a really good example.
Thomas the Cat, or even most recently, there was a back and forth regarding the color of the sun in the solar system, and the posters were like, no, really, it's wrong. Here's some screenshots. Here's some comparisons. And it's like this, it feels like a very high level of participation from the community. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that, just in general.
I think it's just incredibly awesome. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I am incredibly gifted to be able to work with such an incredibly passionate community. I mean, everyone from you guys at STOked to the guys on the other podcasts to the people in the forums, we're really lucky at Cryptic to have a community that cares so much about the game.
Now, actually, on that subject and leading into more of the serious questions that we're going to be asking you here, I'm curious if you have any recommendations for people that don't go to the forums for one reason or another, if there's any recommendations that you might have to help those people still get involved.
Or any ideas.
With the community of STO in general.
Hands down, the best way is to get on the forums. That's where we're going to make sure that you've got the dev interaction. It's where we've got most of our efforts focused right now. If you don't like the forums, keep an eye on us on Facebook, the Star Trek Facebook page. Keep an eye on Twitter, at Cryptic Stormy if you want to follow me, at Trek Online Game if you want to follow the whole game. There's a sticky thread up in the forums with all the different developers that I know of that have Twitter accounts and are public.
I've been following you guys all on Twitter, and it's a lot of fun to get to know you guys a little bit outside of the company, outside of the game.
Yeah, and we watch these and we respond to them. We'll respond to you guys through any medium that we can.
Now, before we jump into some of the game stuff, while we're still kind of in this middle spot, I wanted to maybe touch a little bit, because it's just a sort of recent, while we're recording this episode, there's been a switch over from the Cryptic store and Cryptic points to Atari tokens, and I think, is it still going to be called the C store? Stormy, what's going on here?
We're still calling it the C store right now. It's really just a name change, and it's actually better for our community and our players to use the Atari token model. So Atari tokens can be used on any Atari product at all. So if you're playing a Facebook game like Fairies versus Darklings, which is put out by Atari, or Asteroids Online on Facebook.
I see. So it's actually giving the players more options for the same investment. As far as Cryptic titles are involved, they're pretty much interchangeable, though, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Whether you're using Cryptic points or Atari tokens, it's the same thing. It's just a name change difference.
Do you guys get pushback on this kind of stuff? There's the impression could be had that it feels corporate over indie, but it's really the same exact thing. But I'm wondering, is there a sensitivity to it, or does it seem like people totally grok what it is? It's just a name change.
From what I've seen on the forums, it's mostly been, hey, it's just a name change. It's not a big deal. Okay. I've definitely seen some of the sensitivity where it's, I don't like this name change. I liked my Cryptic points better. And
change is change, and sometimes
change is change, and change is scary, right?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about a topic that's been hot on our show recently. We'll just talk about it from the high level. There's been a lot of people have been emailing us about their ideas on how to sort of not consolidate, but some way to have like a guide to awesome user-generated Foundry missions. And now I know you have like a guide up now on Star Trek Online for the ones that are getting moved over to Holodeck. Any thoughts on how to expose the really awesome future Foundry missions and how to make it easy for players to recommend and discover them to other players?
Well, the rating system is definitely something there that we're going to get into.
I guess any thoughts taking that outside the game? Sort of like the captain's database is now, in a sense, not like a full interface to it, but maybe a way to search the database. Has there been any kind of discussion about that you're aware of?
There's about to be.
Oh, okay.
Tease.
Yeah, I like that.
No, I am literally writing this down right now.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, there you go. Because the main thing I think that when people have been writing in, I think what they want to do is they want to know that when they create something epic in the Foundry, that there's going to be a way to generate buzz about it. And not
specifically for like people that might not have a big fleet behind them that can go out and help them with publicity and everything.
Or I look at it from the angle of our show. How awesome would it be if we could put a URL in our show notes? So when we review a Foundry mission in one of our episodes, I'd love to put a URL that a person could click on, and even if it just added it to their log in game, like somehow to the captain's database, or if there was some sort of way to do it through a web URL, sort of like how you can link to iTunes apps.
I was just going to say, it's starting to sound kind of app-like, but I like it.
Yeah, it's almost converting Foundry missions into apps that you could link to, and that's just putting it into kind of a context we understand, and that would be amazing for folks like us. If you're going to write it down. Write that down.
Totally agree. So I did write it down, and I'm going to bring that up. We've actually been doing a lot of meetings regarding UGC around here recently. We just talked to a bunch of different UGC closed beta testers and people on Tribble from the forums. It's Cryptic. We're always looking for more ideas from the community, and we love it when you guys give us that.
Now, recently there was a movement started to move some of the best, most highly rated missions from Tribble, the Foundry missions from Tribble over to Holodeck.
Yeah.
And when word came down for that, you'd seem to kind of take the reins and lead the community in voting for their best and giving their testimonials and everything like that. Are there more plans to continue that type of spotlight even after the Foundry has made it to Holodeck?
Totally. The process for this is obviously somebody here has to go through and play through the Foundry missions, right?
Yeah, we understand.
Yeah.
And
it's a difficult job, Stormy, but somebody has to do it.
And I'm so glad that I have it. So I went through and I played through a bunch of different Foundry episodes. I picked out some of my favorites, and then I put them forth to the rest of the team. Our QA team went through and ran a pass on them, the whole 9 yards. And what we had was the Feature Foundry Spotlight page that you've got now, and missions that we moved over to Holodeck. I want to keep doing this. The company wants to keep doing this. So we're looking at doing it either on a bi-weekly or possibly a monthly basis.
I'll be honest, even just one a month would be still great. I hope you can manage more than that.
And of course, we intend to do it too.
One update a month, so it'll probably be like another batch of 4 episodes.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm going to go on ahead and give a plug out here to the guys at Starbase UGC.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kirk Fat, Havraha, they've all been doing a great job making that community over there. And it's really impressive to see what they're writing. Everyone around here is just watching that site.
I concur, and I was really happy to see that their tutorial videos are now linked over there on the STO site itself at StarTrekOnline.com. That's great for them.
We were really happy that they let us use that material on our website. That's just, they're awesome videos.
Yeah. Stormy, while I've got you on the line, I want to pick your brain about a topic that came up on the show like a couple of episodes ago. Me specifically, I poked a little bit of fun at the Captain's Table with the disclaimer that I do like the Captain's Table, and our community feedback bump, which is epic, is shot in the Captain's Table zone. So I mean, I got to be fair. The Captain's Table has been useful for the show. But any discussions? Is Captain's Table solid? Any thoughts around or what you think? Because I guess I'll tell you the main thing where I think of sort of the community interaction aspect comes from is a lot of folks expected to have more regular chats with the devs in there. Now, of course, everybody's super busy, so that just isn't probably always practical. But is there any kind of discussions going on about where to go with the Captain's Table?
Yeah, definitely. We're always looking for ways to improve stuff, and the Captain's Table is definitely something that the community has told us we really should improve. So the downside is, where are we going to focus our efforts, right? Are we going to focus it on the area that not so many people have access to right now? Or are we going to focus it on making more content and more things that everybody can access?
It's just kind of a bang for your buck.
Yeah. You got to spend your resources where you can.
Right.
If I had, I know this isn't the Chris interview, so I'll just keep this short. If I had my ideal, because I thought about it after I made fun of the Captain's Table, what I'd like to see happen.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in game that does this now, so it's totally impractical. So this is just me saying stuff that's impossible, but it's the internet, so you get away with it. Wouldn't it be cool if the Captain's Table became a leaderboard spotlight for either your direct social friends in the game or for all of the players in the game? Like, Wouldn't that be neat if you went to the captain's table and it was like the hall of records of all of the amazing Starfleet officers that currently serve in Starfleet?
That would be kind of cool.
Like
I know
a
that's
number of metrics that might be available.
super tons of work, and so I'm just throwing it out there. But I think that would be like that'd be an amazing thing. And also, I would take the captain's table and I'd put it I would put it in the lower half of Earth Space Dock, and I'd put it in Kronos and I'd get it out of space.
Yeah, no nebula anymore.
Yeah, and I know I can say that because I don't have to do any of the work.
There you go.
So I totally understand why it's not like that. Let's talk player base. And I think maybe it's just because the yearly event's been going on, but Sector Space seems like it's been more crowded than I have seen it in a very long time. Is there anything you can share with us in terms of subscriber base? Growth? Average?
All I can say is that things are looking very good for Star Trek right now.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Very
Now,
good.
I've actually noticed by looking at the forums that due to the recent Lifetime sale that the number of blue names has seemed to substantially increase.
We've seen a lot of people who have gone out and decided to become career officers because of the sale.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually seen an overall increase in subscribers, so
Good.
population has been growing. Things are looking really, really good for Star
I did
Trek
want
Online.
to just point out one more thing is that if you noticed on their 1 year anniversary holograms that are all over Earth Space Dock, it says 01.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of indicates they're planning for double digits.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, sure.
totally.
Yeah.
So, Stormy, I think that's all we've got for you today. I want to thank you very much for appearing on STOked, and you can bet we'll stay in touch. We are very focused on the community, as it seems you are as well.
I know, and it's awesome to see you guys every week. So thanks a ton.
All right,
Thank
thanks,
you.
StormShade. Welcome to Tact Review. It's time to look at our new weekly episode, The Vault. We got our hands on it earlier today, despite some server issues.
You did.
Yeah.
I had to wait for the servers to crash and come back. But
I got out right as it was crashing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if I was going to get credit for the mission. It was close, but I think maybe that's a good place to start though, because I think what caused it to crash was probably all of the excitement. I mean, it was nuts.
it was crazy. Every zone, there were tons of instances spawned just because of the sheer volume of people attempting to play this one single mission.
I was thinking about like with the server issues, you've got Champions Online, which went free to play. I'm sure that puts a strain on their infrastructure.
At the very least, their login servers, I believe, all
yeah.
go through the same.
Then you've got people. What seems to be a higher player rate than you've had in a long time because of the year event.
And as we just heard from StormShade in the last segment, they're steadily increasing their subscriptions.
Right.
So
And then you roll out a new weekly after a long time. I mean, that is just the most perfect recipe for probably the largest user base they've had in a while.
it was
active.
perfect recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Now.
So well done, guys.
The one part, so that's the excitement part. The one part I was really nervous about with this new weekly series was I was frankly concerned I was going to dread spending the entire time in a shuttle.
With so few buff slots, so few weapons, and
Because honestly, I spent a lot of time tweaking my ship, my gear,
Right.
my stats, my buffs to make sure that I got a
and
good
you've gotten
fighting ship.
all the way to Vice Admiral with these big, beefy battleships that can take on entire fleets, and now you're forced to fly around in
I'm out of my
in
comfort zone.
in a toothpick.
Totally ripped out of the comfort zone, J-Man.
Yeah.
Ripped out of it. And you know what? I actually liked it quite a bit.
So did I.
I was thinking that would be the part that I'd have to sit down and be a big stinker on the air and be like, I didn't like not being in my ship.
Why couldn't they just put me in my ship?
I loved it.
Yeah,
It
I
was
really
perfect.
enjoyed it too.
Yeah, it was fun.
I couldn't even tell you why, because I still think that the Delta Flyer is kind of a piece of crap compared to my usual ship.
It does bring all of the talk lately about shuttles into perspective. But yeah, compared to your ship, big time.
Kind of looking forward to the captain's yacht because it's supposed to be a slight upgrade, and I'm not sure how.
Oh. I don't know though. I still love the you're going up against those little fighters, and the maneuverability of the Delta Flyer is pretty great. And then or the shuttle and be able to fly through that tight map and get through the corridors. That was a great experience in your shuttle, and it was like maybe a ground combat in a way, but in space, I don't know. It just felt like something new.
Now, how did you feel about the whole story, that kind of the reasons they put you in the shuttle, the whole plot that they've introduced us to here? Is this Now, we've mentioned before that The Vault is a throwback to that Countdown series of comics that were a go-between, kind of a prequel to the JJ, but also
The JJ
tied
movie.
it all together with the Next Generation universe.
Yeah, it bridged the gap between TNG. It's perfect. It bridges that gap between TNG and the new movie.
Yeah.
And this goes from there.
Right.
And I guess I dig the idea that there's this offshoot splinter cell of Romulans or Remans that are in this huge, massive station that is this bastardization of technology that they're just camping out there.
Yeah.
And that they're
squatters.
They're squatters, and that they're trying to build something there, and we avoid that area for so long because we've just been losing ships, but now we've got to go. And we can't just take it on full force.
Not only losing ships, but they mentioned the previous mission with Admiral Tanay when she was taken over by an Undine, and you're forced to go to that Romulan base and just massacre them. Mm-hmm. And so they're mentioning that as that was a big diplomatic snafu. And so going to the vault and infiltrating it is a really big risk.
And that mission made a big impact on me because I felt like I wouldn't be doing all that killing, and I didn't like it, and all that, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And so it's good that event didn't just happen and go away.
Yeah. I
appreciate the addition of lore to this that I think the weeklies have been really good at. The lore of that station is epic, and the backstory to it is original Trek because it goes into that prequel that ties important Star Trek series together. So you're pulling from your source material. Mm-hmm. You add this awesome lore spot. You add great characters, and frankly, some of the best dialogue and writing that I think we've seen in a long time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're asking me about story and things like that. I love the story. What'd you think, though, of the action element of the mission?
Well, I think that the actual things that you were asked to do within the mission were pretty mundane. And I don't know if that's just a limitation of the actual game engine or what, but, it was basically fly here, blow something up, click on this. There was a little bit of confusion and possible mix-ups on the sort of, I guess you might call it a mini-game puzzle, with the code on the first door.
Yeah.
So it was really easy for me flying solo. I just went up and picked up some debris and clicked on the door, and it opened.
Yeah, you just entered the code. And I was with a group of 5, a full group, and when we flew up to the door didn't open for us, and I wasn't sure I couldn't tell if it was we had to scan and get the right key and then go to the door, or if each member of the group had to enter a code, or if maybe somebody entered the wrong code and canceled the opening, or what.
Right.
So it took us a little while. But to be honest with you, and this sounds like a dumb thing, but I was totally not stressed out about the fact that we were not getting to that door. I was just happy flying around that room. I mean, flying around that interior looked incredible. And
that was just the first room of 3 different big, epic, impressive, really just jaw-dropping
huge map. I mean, this
environment.
This environment is huge. We got a chance to look at it with a demo record tool, and it really is just a massive scale of a map. I mean, the work is. I wonder if we'll be back to this because it just seems like so much work.
Seems like a lot to just do a one-off sort of thing.
Yeah, even though it is replayable. Mm-hmm. So because of the environment, because of sort of the awe of the experience, it was a new type of thing, and because of that little mini game, I didn't really have a problem with the lack of combat.
Neither did I, really. I mean, despite the fact that everything we were doing in the mission was pretty mundane up until, I'll get to the ending in just a minute, but when you were inside the vault, it was pretty much, like I said, fly here, blow up this, click on this.
It was like
the environment was so incredible.
The visual reveal was part of the story.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that you were flying in an interior.
Yeah.
We've never done that before.
And you go into this interior that is capped top to bottom with Borg spheres and this perfect blend of this Borg technology reaching down into these Romulan parts, and it's like, oh yeah, this is a different kind of story that I can enjoy. I don't have to be shooting at something.
Right.
So I think that was a win there.
Yeah. So again, I know we've said this in many of our reviews, but great big thumbs up to the environment team. Yeah. I think that without such an impressive place to actually hold this mission, it wouldn't have stood up to the standards we've been accustomed to.
The mission, the environment did make the mission, and I think the other thing that made it was, I touched on the writing, but it wasn't just the writing. There was some really great voiceovers, and we've sometimes been a little bit critical on voiceovers before, like The Guardian of Forever, I think.
Well, and I'll go ahead and say that I wasn't terribly impressed with the Admiral Tanay, that introduced it for Federation missions. When compared to the Klingon voiceover that introduces it for KDF characters, it really pales in comparison.
I liked the, and we have a clip of it. We have a clip of the Admiral's introduction. Maybe we'll just play a clip for you.
Mm-hmm. But intelligence suggests that the work there was far enough along that it was used to retrofit Nero's ship before it disappeared, along with Ambassador Spock's vessel in the Hobus system.
But I thought, that first one was good. It was just the second voiceover I wasn't such a big fan of. The last voiceover.
Oh, the ending.
Yeah. But the Klingons have a great voiceover, but the voiceover that I enjoyed the most was the Riemann bad guy voiceover.
Yep. Obasek.
Yeah, Obasek's voiceover. Let's roll a clip of that, because that is excellent.
Have you seen all that you came to see, little spy? Call me Obasek, If a name is that important to you.
And Obus, that sounds like a mean Riemann. That sounds like a menacing Riemann.
He's got it. He's nailed it.
Yeah. So that was awesome. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to read through all the dialogue because of the group situation.
One of the downfalls of doing some of these with a group sometimes.
Sometimes somebody clicks a little fast.
Right.
Replay, though, I'm going to go through. And
and on the subject of replay, Dan Stahl has already been hinting in the forums that there may be a special reward for going through and replaying this.
I'll get the Raptor reward for completing the mission, and to be honest, neither one of us have tried it because it's consumable on
it's
use.
one use.
Yeah, it's gone, and we haven't replayed yet.
Right.
I think, though, I do intend to replay, and people in the chat room have been saying that the combo of engine batteries and emergency-powered engines, you have to escape the vault. If you want to avoid combat, there's some people
because
are saying
you don't
that's how
have
you get
to.
out. Yeah.
You don't have to. The entire
in fact, it's
mission
hinted that you should be able to avoid it.
Right. The entire mission objective is just escape, so it doesn't matter as long as you get to the ending.
Oh my gosh! I jumped to the reward.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot one of my favorite parts of the mission.
When you get out of the vault.
When you get out of the vault, you fly out into this nebula, and your sensors get jammed.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew immediately what was going on, and I loved it. And I loved the attention to detail with the mini map. And the area map.
Yeah, both of them were completely fuzzed out, and you get this overlay over your screen that's all staticky and everything.
And did you notice your shields were like up, down, up, down, up, down? So
I noticed because I ran into one of those stupid heavy plasma torpedoes.
Okay, yeah. Torpedo target Brodie over here. Definitely noticed. What I did is I just said, okay, guys, just transfer all your power to weapons. You don't your shields aren't going to do anything.
Your shields are worthless.
Fun.
It was a great mechanic for a combat because, I mean, you're not going to take out a D'Deridex, but there was a galaxy there supporting you. Mm-hmm. So your job was to shoot down its torpedoes, take out the fighters, while the galaxy took down this D'Deridex.
And you're in a shuttle or a Delta Flyer, you are the perfect match for one of those little fighters. You can
a torpedo.
Or a torpedo.
I took those out good with my face.
Good job, man. I like that. The environment. If you were watching live, I sounded like a babbling fool, just as bad as I sound right now.
Mm-hmm.
When I imagine the scope of how impressed I am. I mean, I'm just looking at this environment, and I'm so happy that this is a Star Trek game.
Yeah,
this could have been like I've been playing Champions. This could have been Champions. This could have been something in DCU, but not this well because this universe makes this sort of perfect foundation to build this story.
You know, and on the subject of the environments and being a Trek game, a lot of people did kind of compare some of those internal environments. It looks a little bit like the second Death Star, you know, in here. And on certain levels it did, but if you actually think about the details, you already said it earlier, the Borg plus the Romulan technology plus the fact of the kind of research and
the Thaleron generators, which was a nice touch. Love the call to the Thaleron.
I mean, everything there was Trek, despite how it might look. And actually, some of those, like, flying through the doorways really reminded me of, like, V'ger.
Yeah.
Entering into V'ger.
I definitely had a few
construct.
V'ger moments. I had very, very much so a few V'ger moments.
Yep.
The payoff, couple of things. The automatic doors, great touch. And I'm so glad we have that in game now. But also, I'm super appreciative of the single zone nature of the vault. Once you're in, you don't zone.
Right.
That is so great for immersion because you just keep flying through these doors and you just keep going deeper.
And you keep wondering how big is this place?
And because you don't get that you don't go up against that artificial wall, that sense of depth as you're just going into this vault it's there. And that really adds to the overall feeling of the mission.
Now, how do you think that this mission, as an introductory to this new arc, stands up to the first mission of the Davidian series or the first mission of the Breen series?
Boy, those also left me pretty impressed, but I think we've got with the combination of voiceovers, but also everything that Cryptic did from a communication standpoint before the game, the in-game bulletins to let people know where to go.
Oh yeah, the little pop-up when you first log in. Absolutely.
Yep. That started like yesterday or something, the day before.
No more
Friday.
Stupid tribal knowledge of trying to figure out where these things are.
Which is something we've mentioned before.
Yeah.
Also, they made some sticky forum posts with frequently asked questions. And then they've made another forum post today when people were still asking. And on top of that, then they made the Admiral available to hail, which told you where to go.
Yep.
So huge improvement as far as discoverability just for the mission there.
Yeah.
I'm really happy about that. I think you take that, you add in voiceover, you add in some of the most amazing environment art we've ever seen. Now, Drazana Station was incredible.
Yep.
But
so was Deferi.
Yeah.
Their city down there on the surface.
It really was. But the vault was just it leaves me without the words to describe how impressed I was.
It raises the bar.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think this is my opinion is this is the best of the 3 that we've seen so far as far as an introductory mission.
First mission.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Now we'll see how the second episodes come, and of course we review those every Saturday when they hit the live server. Theoretically.
Now, that's a
We're
very
playing them.
slight spoiler here, but I do have a link in our show notes to, they haven't put up the descriptions of the further episodes that we'll be getting on the Star Trek Online website.
There is a tease in the form now of what they are.
But they did send them out to a number of other press sites as well, and they've been posted. And I've got a link in our show notes if you'd like to read up a little bit of it's just a 1-sentence blurb.
You get the names, and it sounds like it's
you get an intro at least.
Revolve around a lot of some civil war between the Romulans and the Remans potentially. But I just wanted to say, if you want to join us when we play these live, head over to jupiterbroadcasting.com/live Saturday morning at 11 a.m. That's just when they release them. So when they're in the game, we're usually on the live stream playing. And we've had more and more folks join us. They get in the chat room, and with sort of this big brain trust gets together, and we just get through these missions and have a great time and share ideas and share also reactions, which is you get the live feed of the public opinion poll of the chat room.
There's other things that we've missed along the way, because of the 2 of us, I'm the highest level diplomat, but I'm only an attaché.
Right.
Still working my way through that.
But we've got some ambassadors in the chat room.
Exactly, and there is a diplomatic option in this, and now it doesn't really have an outcome on the overall thing, but it's nice to, if you have leveled up your diplomacy,
nice
you
to
have
be able to-
some additional...
There's a payoff there for that time you put in.
Additional, not only just dialogue boxes, but voiceovers. Voiceovers that you won't hear unless you're a diplomat of some sort.
Oh.
You get to talk to Obasek more. That's a reward in itself.
Now, the last kind of, I know we keep kind of getting close to wrapping up, but there's so much to touch on. One last thing that I didn't get a chance to really play through all the way. I'm going to pay more attention to this when I go back through. There was an option, depending on what class you are, for different ways to approach the vault, the base.
Yes, right.
That's great.
There was also a patrol in the area that you wanted to definitely avoid because a shuttle wouldn't be able to take it on.
Right. Like we saw in one of the Foundry missions we played last week, you sort of thread the needle between the bad guys and the base, and you get there.
Yeah.
And that's fun because sneaking in a shuttle is exhilarating.
Yeah.
Being sneaky is fun.
Especially when you know that one direct hit could drop your shields and your hull.
And they make mention that while you might be able to see about a dozen of them, there's probably more cloaked, and so that would just be a bad thing.
Right.
I kind of want to go in there with my Excelsior and just see what happens if I can. That might be fun. So that's something I want to get through. I want to try what the different class options get me for ways to get to the base, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on this mission. Anywhere you're watching this, you can leave a comment or head over to jupitercolony.com, STOked section just in there, and let us know what you thought of the vault.
Do it.
Any wrap-up thoughts, man?
No, I'm really looking forward to next week.
Yeah, that's my wrap-up thoughts, too, is I'm really looking forward to next week. And a big thanks to StormShade for joining us this episode, and a big thanks to you for watching. And Stoked comes out every Tuesday over at Jupiter Broadcasting, generally in the morning time frame. And you can subscribe.
Whenever he gets out of bed.
Yeah, when I get out of bed and feed the kids, and then go hit the publish button. And don't worry about it. Just subscribe to the RSS feeds. We have those over on the site, and then you just get the episode when it comes out. Easy. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for watching this episode of Stoked, and we'll see you right back here next week.
We got it. Actually, I have one more just personal question off the record here. Is the Skype that you're using, is it yours so that we can drunk dial you later?
You may totally drunk dial me later.
All right.
I'm drinking a beer.